Welcome back to Divorce Real Talk, the podcast where we cut through the noise and talk about what actually moves the needle during divorce. Today's episode is based on chapter 4 of the Divorce Playbook, Your Circle of Trust. And this chapter is all about understanding who should have access to you when it feels like you're going in a bad when you're in a bad situation, when things are kind of under construction. All right. Because divorce has a way of stripping away illusions. It shows you who's really in your corner and who was only around when things were comfortable. Now, before I dive in, I want to properly introduce to you my co-host, the one and only Gio, who just isn't a coach. He's someone who's lived it. He's done this work. He's known for his direct, no BS approach to communication, mindset, and personal transformation. Gio has a way of saying things the way people are thinking, but are too afraid to admit. And that's exactly why this chapter fits him so well. Gio understands that healing isn't about being nice to everyone, obviously. It's about being honest with the one that matters most, is yourself. So here we go, Gio. We're on episode 8, and I want to ask you, what do you think divorce exposes people's circle so brutally? What is it about that exposes that?
Because you rip off the mask of bullshit. When you go through a divorce, often we talk about people who have kids, right? It's like who gets the custody of the kids. But often now it's who gets the custody of the friends, who gets the custody of the family members. And we're going to get into that because even I have an interesting story on that. But it's a matter of seeing who's truly in your corner. Because whether it's through divorce or just in real life, we think we have friends in our corner. But the amount of true friends is incredibly rare. Everyone has their own definition of friendship. But who's really going to pick up the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning when you need them? Who's the one that's going to call you to say, Matteo, how are you? But how are you really doing? But after that, keep the information for themselves rather than going to start talking to everybody. Divorce exposes all of that at once.
Bingo. Look, that hits home. What you said there about who gets custody of the friends, oh my God. And I'm sure many people could speak for this. For me, you think that, they were your friends as a couple. Maybe you knew the guy first, but then your ex got close with his wife or girlfriend or what have you. And now all of a sudden, you're speaking to who you think is your friend who's on your side. You're giving them information. And they're not maybe doing it on purpose, but they're talking to their significant other who's talking to your ex. And all of a sudden, broken telephone information is being filtered and not even correct information. And and you really hit home with that. I really like that. You really have to be cognizant of that custody of who's got custody of your friends and what to share with who and when.
We talk about often, as you're going through divorce, you have to be careful of what you tell your ex because you have to act as if every conversation is going to be played back in court.
Well, and it's probably being recorded too.
And it's probably being recorded, absolutely. But now you also have to be careful as to who you share information with. And that's the whole point of today's show is building that circle of trust because even if you've known somebody for 15, 18, 20 years, it doesn't mean that they're going to stay by your side.
Yes. Yes. And in fact, during this phase, it suddenly reveals, who belongs in your life and who doesn't, don't you think?
Absolutely. And, it's people need to, the true essence of friendship, the true essence of family is to be there. Like it's easy to be there during the good times, But the true evaluation of a friendship, of a family member, or even of a relationship is during the tough times. A couple is great when you're having sex 3 times a week and going out to the restaurant twice a week and living the jet set lifestyle. That's easy. But how are you when this was a rough month? The bills are a little bit higher. We can't go out. We saw it during COVID. How many families lost their minds because they were like, but we're stuck together. Now we can't escape each other. And it's like, who are you? And you got to deal with this. So you have to figure out who's truly in your corner, because this is the moment where you need unquestioned support. It's where you need to believe in the people that are in your corner, that they're there for the right reason. Because those who are not are going to cost you dearly.
And the right reason is exactly right. I mean, why do you think so many people confuse familiarity with loyalty?
We have this, in today's society, we have this twisted sense of belief that, well, I can date somebody, but when it doesn't go well anymore, I can get rid of them.
Mhm.
But when it comes to friendship, oh, but they've been my friend for 10 years. But hold on a second. Just because they've been your friend for 10 years, that automatically gives them permission to stay? You you don't owe anyone anything. And if that person no longer suits your life, your needs, your values, I don't care that they've been your friend for 15 years. It's out. And we always hear, oh, but I've known Mary for 25 years and that's the way she is. And okay, but why do you keep tolerating it? Why do you keep tolerating it? It's not the first time I say it, and something that I use often in my coaching. Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher in the US, look it up on YouTube. On his album called The Prescription, he's got an audio called Charge, where he talks about what people take from you, what people drain from you, and if they recharge your battery. It's great that Mary's been in your life for 25 years, but if every time you talk to her you get a drain, you need them out.
And Gio, that is one of the hardest things I have personally dealt with in the past and still deal with at times. Is that you've known these people for so long and you keep making excuses for them, but every time you talk to them, they drain you and they just take that, they take the wind out of your sail, and you're completely just done. When you're finished speaking with them, you're done. And these are the people you need to, and there's ways of doing it. And I've been doing it. You slowly, you start, you don't communicate as often. And when you do, you kind of, you set boundaries. And I think that's the best way of doing it. But it is a tough thing to do. And I commend the people that do it. And I think it's one of the most important things for someone to do in their life is to have the right circle. And this is why this podcast is so important, for people to really understand how that affects you in your life and how that affects your growth.
And there's different ways of doing it. Like, let's be clear. I'm a savage. I've learned to become a savage when it comes to it. Okay, you don't serve a purpose to me. You don't connect with my values. You know what? I love you. I want to see you eat, just not at my table.
It gives me guilt, man. I feel guilty.
Of course, because you don't want to lose that person, because you have a history with that person. But the difference is that in a friendship, in a relationship, you're together every day. In a relationship, so you feel trapped. So that's why you leave them and get away from them. But a friendship, it's but I'm only gonna see Mary once a week. I'm only gonna see Mary once a month, and there's history there, and we create these excuses because we're afraid to put our foot down. We're afraid to upset the other person. We're afraid to deal with the backlash. But the reality is that when you cut these people out, you liberate yourself. And just to show you the way I am, my first divorce, first of all, I lost my dad when I was 18. Okay. When my father died, my uncle, his brother said, "You know what, Gio? I'm going to be your father figure from now on. You need anything from a dad's perspective, you come see me."
Mhm.
Big shoes that he decided to fill. But he came to me. I didn't go to him and say, "Can you be my daddy?" No. It was him that came to me. Great. I get married. I have a kid. I name him Godfather to my kid.
Mhm.
I get divorced. Now I'm like, well, I need you in my corner. But his wife and my ex-wife became friends and they wanted to continue seeing each other. And I was like, no, I'm like, we got to pick sides here. Gio, my wife, she doesn't want to give up on the friendship. So I'm like, look, I'm going to start taking my distance. Then, in a story for another time, I got falsely accused criminally by my ex. Now, I used to live upstairs from my uncle. When I got arrested, I did the perp walk out of my house, and my uncle was there. I looked at my uncle, I go, "Is this enough for you to stop talking to her?" Now, before anybody freaks out, I want you to know that it took me a year, went to trial, and my ex ended up providing evidence that showed that I was innocent and she was actually the guilty one. So that got settled.
Wow.
But throughout all this, I told my uncle, I go, "Is this enough now for you to put your foot down and be in my corner?" It was my wife. She doesn't want to get involved. Fine. I haven't spoken to my uncle in over 10 years
Wow.
because his presence no longer benefits my life.
And as hard as that was and is still, it's probably the best thing. Not probably, it is the best thing you've
It
done for your
is.
humanity.
It is the best thing. It is. I don't have to deal with that. "Oh, okay, I'm going to my uncle's tonight, or is there gonna be something that you know?" And I'm gonna use a second example. When Anto was born, I got hired at a job. I became best friends with the manager. So much so that his kids called me uncle. Not gonna get into the details, but he ended up distancing himself from me for 2 years. And I was like, okay, fine. I no longer serve a purpose in your life. Cool. 2 years later, he reaches out to me and says, "You know what, Gio? I screwed up. I want you back in my life." To me, water under the bridge. Let's go. Reconnected with the kids. His son, when he saw me after 2 years, Matteo, the kid gave me a 7-minute hug.
Wow.
7 minutes. Like it was a joke at the beginning, but like we ended up. So I'm like, but now I'm in your life again for good, right? Yeah. Okay. Hang out twice, pulls back again. Tries to come back, pulls back again. So he starts playing this yo yo. Then there's no communication for 3 months. And then I get invited to his son's birthday party. So I told him straight, I'll be there. But what is my role in your kids' lives?
Mhm.
I don't want to yo-yo anymore. I don't want to beg you to see the kids. I don't want to beg you to. So am I allowed to be in their lives or not? They were insulted. How dare you say this? You're always welcome. And I fired back the timeline. Don't tell me I'm always invited. So if I'm not going to be allowed to be in the kids' lives, if everything of this friendship is now difficult, I'm going to take a step back. And that's what I did because their values no longer suited me. And as heartbreaking as it is for the kids, I was not going to put myself through that. And I love the kids enough that I wasn't going to put them through that. So if the kids ever get older and reach out to me, with love, I'm going to catch up on every birthday, every Christmas, every Easter, and everything else that I've ever missed. But that friendship, no longer dealing with that stress.
You said it, you hit it right on with when you talked about values, because when your values are not in alignment, that's where things fall apart. For example, uh, if your highest value, which if I was a betting man or a guessing man, I would say when it comes to that relationship, your highest value, I would say would be honesty and transparency. And that was not his highest value. I can guarantee you that. Because when you have a highest value in something and when you know what that value is, you will lead with that. You will lead that relationship with honesty, with transparency. And obviously that wasn't coming from his end. And one thing I want to talk about is what I do in my coaching. One of the first things I do is a value elicitation. Okay. At its core, it's uncovering what actually drives your decisions at an unconscious level. Okay. Not what you think should matter, but what does matter. And because often, during divorce, when people are making decisions, they make them out of fear, they make them out of guilt, anger, and pressure. And those emotions distort everything. Okay. Now, a value elicitation is an NLP tool that I use. And what really drives it is I ask the questions of, what do you truly want to protect right now? What does being a good father, mother, man, woman, parent actually mean to you? And then, what do you need to do more in your life, or what no longer do you have access to? So those kind of questions are really great. And this is something I'm going to actually do a live value elicitation demo inside our school community. So I'll show you actually in real time how powerful this tool is when applied. And just transitioning to the school community, I'll talk about that real quick. Is our school community is for people who just don't want to listen to podcasts. It's for people that want to do the work. And for a small nominal monthly fee, members are going to get exclusive materials that we will not share publicly. They'll get interactive scheduled live webinars that they can ask questions and get real-time guidance, and a more of a tailored experience, not genetic advice, but more like real conversations that are applicable to your situation. All right. And access to a community focused group with clarity, rebuilding, not bashing exes and anything like that. That's not what it's all about. Okay. We want this to go deeper and be more intentional. Anything you want to?
Absolutely. And we did put a free 7-day trial, and understand this is something that's brand new. We're currently feeding it. We're creating content. We're, driving the information, but this is like at its very beginning. This is a baby that we've started and would love to see people join. So, again, this goes along the lines of everything that we're trying to offer with the divorce playbook, with the podcast, the school community, the coaching. There is something for everybody in every budget to get help. And that's really the target of what we're trying to do.
Well said. Well
But
said.
now let's get back to the circle of trust. How do we determine this thing? What's the criteria? What are we building towards? What's the lesson plan here?
The lesson plan is really be cognizant of the people around you, why they're around you, how they make you feel. Be very careful with the information that you do share. You don't want to share. And I see this in a lot of most of the successful people I know have a very, very small circle of friends, small circle of people that they confide in, very small. And I find that a reoccurring theme. Like everyone that I know that are, I know a lot of very high net worth people, and all of them are like, I only have a few friends. Meanwhile, I know others in my circle who, including myself, I have a lot of friends. Too many, but it's about just being cognizant, having that right person that can help guide you, coach you into understanding who's in your corner, who to speak to, who not to speak to.
Yeah, you see, you said it earlier, and I want to go through this because there's different levels in the playbook. You said earlier, who has access to your energy? Who has access to information? This is where and this is where we're giving homework. This is where I want people to reflect. This is where I want people to have difficult moments to process everything because it's not easy, but it's going to help you out. So now we're going to break down the 3 levels that are listed in the playbook. There's only 3. You're going to take the people around you, and we hear you are the average of the 5 people that you see the most often in your life. I push this to 5, 10, 15. It depends on how many people you speak to. I have 5 to 6 people around me. Like you can't even count it on 2 hands. Other people, but me, I'm a social butterfly. I have 752 friends. No, you don't. But okay,
Wait, I want to know, am I included in that?
you're absolutely included in that.
All right, good.
Absolutely. So now here's how we're going to break it down. Okay. This is who has access to your energy, who has access to information. Your first level is your inner circle, your ride or dies. The
Mhm.
ones that will not talk shit, that are going to listen, that are going to challenge you. And when I say challenge you, they're going to challenge you positively. My ex is garbage. Okay, slow down. Let's talk about it. Let's get you refocused, recentered. But these are the people that are like Fort Knox. You know they're not going to share that information. You know that when you speak to them, they're the true person in your corner that no matter what you tell to, no matter what you say, are going to protect you.
And they're the ones that would talk you off a ledge. They're the ones that you can call at 2, 3 in the morning if you need to. Correct?
Exactly. And
Okay.
now let's be clear about something. I'm in a lot more circles as the friend that gives than the friend that receives. A lot more people can call me at 2 o'clock in the morning than I can call them at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's the kind of person I am. But inner circle, the ride or dies are the people that you can trust with everything. And let's be honest, most people don't have anybody in that circle. And those who do, would you agree with me? It's 1 to 3.
And some of those people might be questionable.
And so
Tough
I
circle.
can tell you, I've got 3 people. I've got you, I've got Alex, I got my best friend Mark. Everybody else, they know me. God bless. They're in my corner, cheer me on, this and that. But the only one, sorry, 4. There's my niece Catherine. I have 4 people. I'm blessed. But this is from years of being cutthroat. I'm down to 4 people. These are the only ones that get the behind, like they pull the curtain and see behind the scenes. Those four are the only ones, because they've proven to me time and time and time again that they're there for me. The second level, I call it the acquaintance circle. These are the people that you can give a bit of information to, but you stop. Hey, how are things going? We're in mediation. I'm having a rough time. But what's going on in We're going through the mediation process.
Do not overshare.
You don't overshare. But what is he or she asking for we're in negotiations. How are the kids doing? Kids are okay. But what's going on with custody? Kids are doing all right. They're adapting. You don't give them more information than they need to know, because you never know what they're going to go and give to someone else. It's the person that I'll speak with, and I know there's a chance that the second we hang up, they're going to call you and say, hey, Matteo, did you hear about what's going on in Gio's life?
I get calls like that all the time, man, from people that overshare. Other friends of friends.
Oversharing costs. Oversharing hurts. If that person is not there for you at 2:00 in the morning, is going to protect you and has constantly shown it, and is nothing but a positive in your life, they do not deserve to have that information. And let me be clear. Mom and dad can love you. Sometimes they do not belong in your inner circle. Your aunt, your uncle. Why? Because they think it's out of the goodness of their heart, but they still kyackety-kyack all the fucking time.
That's why I say it's not familiarity, right?
It's not familiar. It's trust. So your inner circle is the ones that you know are going to be there for you and support you exactly the way you need. The acquaintance level, it's those who are going to probe for information, but you keep it limited. Mm-hmm. This includes colleagues. Mm-hmm. Because in the workplace, you never know when somebody's going to use that crap against you. You never know when somebody's going to go behind your back and, oh, hey, but did you see Matteo? He looks like he's in a bad mood. Yeah, well, his wife left him yesterday, and, I'm going to change my hey, look, Richard doesn't look happy. Yeah, well, Richard's wife left him. She's screwing the gardener. She's this, she's that. That information doesn't need to be shared. So can you say, hey, I'm going through a difficult personal time? Yes. Can you say I'm going through a divorce and they're asking for custody and da? No.
Don't mix personal and business. Don't mix that.
And information is on a need to know basis. When you're going to share information, why do they need to know? Why do they need to know? What is the benefit of this person having information?
And that's a great question to ask yourself, Gio. When you're talking with someone, always ask yourself that first. Why do they need to know this? What are they going to do with this information? Why is this important for them to know?
Why? Just because they need to know. Just because they're curious. Mm-hmm. The people in the acquaintance circle are the ones that could be those sharks in the water that are going to cause damage.
Correct.
Then you have your third circle, the outer circle. These people don't need to know nothing. These are the people that it's that Facebook friend that's been on your Facebook for the last 17 years, and out of the blue, hey, but how's it going? I heard you were doing... You don't need any information. You don't even deserve a response on the message.
Yeah. People just feel so compelled to respond, especially on social media. When someone reaches out, they feel like, I need to respond or else it's rude. But you're bang on with that. Definitely, it's not even they didn't care about you before. Now all of a sudden they heard something about your life that they're all of a sudden interested in. Why? Ask yourself, why are they interested in that now?
Look, I'm not gonna say who it, but there's somebody that on at Alex's birthday on her Facebook, I put a stupid comment because I'm stupid. I like to be funny. I put something like blah blah blah, na na na. I like your butt.
I like your what?
I like your butt.
Okay.
But who is this guy talking about your butt? The pa 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 pa. Oh, but who are you? What does it concern you? That person doesn't get any information. It's people that you have to be careful who's in your corner and who is. Like when it comes to business, you have to be careful of those who don't clap for you when you win.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second.
Oh,
In
no.
business, you got to be careful of those who do not clap for you when you win.
That is worse than a competitor, Gio.
It is, and you have to be careful, and you can't say, "But this per." The second the second you have to justify these people, you're explaining why they shouldn't be a part of your inner circle. Like whenever I talk with my circle and I say, "Yeah, so I was talking to Matteo." That's it. It's done. They know that I'm able to open up to you to say anything, and everything's on lockdown. You know. Oh, my niece Catherine came over for supper last night. Everyone knows that she's my family ride or die. Going over to Mark's house, oh, we're gonna talk about anything and everything. There's no judgment. There's just love, support, and this and that. At home with Alex, there's no judgment. There's just helping. The second you have to, yeah, but what about Carla? But done. Right, right. As soon as you hear that little, it's done. That person doesn't deserve information. They don't.
And those are good signs. Good signs to live by, for sure. When you start making an excuse or you sigh or there's some kind of you know already, you just being blind to it.
And I'm going to summarize the 3 circles for people. Okay? So circle 1, your inner trust. Your inner circle, your circle of trust. These are people that when they walk in front of your house, the blinds and the windows are open. They can see directly into your kitchen. They get to see exactly what's going on. There's nothing that you're hiding from them. They can hear everything. Your inner circle gets the full view as to what's going on. The acquaintances, when they walk in front of your house, the blinds are closed, the windows are shut, and everything is soundproofed. They know you live there, but they cannot see what the hell is going on.
Unless you come outside.
Unless you come outside. The outer circle, bro, they don't even know where you live. They're going around in the neighborhood trying to find your house. They can't find it. You're kind of like in witness protection mode. Those are your 3 circles. Making a mistake and putting the people in the right category is gonna hurt.
And that's a great summary, Gio. And that's not to say that people cannot move within that circle. People can definitely move in that because you could have in your circle of trust, in your tight circle of trust, that person, you could have a falling out with them at some point. Something could happen, and now they're in they're in a different box. So things could shift there, and you just got to be aware of kind of where you're at within your circle, and take inventory every once in a while to make sure that everything is aligned.
J.J. Watt, legendary football player, said success isn't owned, it's rented. And the rent is due every day. To me, and what I coach to others, is that loyalty and trust isn't earned, it's rented. And the rent is due every day. You need to show me every single day. Because anybody who's in your inner circle, you got to be careful with them too. You got to be sure as to who you're talking to. Because if there's a falling out, these people have the full book on what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Right.
especially when like, I trust Alex with my life. She knows everything of what's going on in the background. I see my future with this woman. But I'm giving her access to the inner workings of me. The inner circle is very much like I'm putting a loaded gun in your hand, pointing it at my chest, and hoping to God that you don't pull the trigger.
And if that's not love, Alex, I don't know what is.
But you understand, like, and it goes beyond Alex. It's with you, it's with Mark, it's with Catherine. You all have been given the gun that can destroy me. Because the betrayal, if it were to happen off of what I share with you guys, would be a disaster for me. So you got to think about that when you decide who's going in your inner circle. The acquaintances, they're not in the inner circle. They don't deserve that information. The outer circle just doesn't even need to know you exist. And what you were talking about, people that can move back and forward, usually people will move backwards. When they come into your life, your trust level, you came into my life, and there was that immediate connection, that immediate trust, and you've shown me every single day the trust that I can have in you. There's other people, when you meet them, it's like, yeah, this person's just going to be an acquaintance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're easy to spot, because that person that comes at you randomly, somebody that you've known and you've seen, let's say, on a weekly basis for years. And for whatever reason, you don't talk to them about what you're going through. But they know you're going through a difficult time. And then you make the move, and they come up to you and say, but we're like family. You should have told me. Well, if we're like family and you see me every week,
You
we're
should have
obviously
asked.
not family if you didn't notice the change in me. We're obviously not family if I didn't talk to you about it. And now you want to be in my corner. Why? You've had all this time to be in my corner. You haven't done anything, but now I got to trust you with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how often I see it, Matteo? These exact people, okay? I call them the rats in life. They come up to you, Matteo, I'm like family to you. You come to see me if there's a problem. And then you don't feed them information. 2 weeks later, you find out they're hanging out with your ex.
Mm-hmm.
But you're family to me, and I have to trust you. your
So
your
this
your
this yeah, I mean,
circle is one of the most important things that you can figure out in divorce.
can't stress that enough, Gio. And that's why this episode is so important, because you can't stress that enough of how important this is throughout your process, your growth, everything. It's what shapes you now and in the future.
I'll give one last description of the three circles. Your inner circle is going to learn your strategy and ask you if you're comfortable with it. Ask you if you've considered all options. Is going to be productive. The acquaintance circle? No, but Matteo, you should be going for full custody and clean them out and take the house and papa pee and pop. Why?
Mm-hmm.
The outer circle are only gonna ask you about the drama. They're not gonna. They don't care about how you're doing, and if they ask how you're doing, it's a thinly veiled question to see the drama that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, people can give opinions, but a lot of people give an opinion and not care about the impact that it has on you. And we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, the you look like shit with a beard and then go to bed and not even flinch.
If I give you so for me, who believes that I'm an inner circle person, if I give you advice, the advice that I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna want to make sure that it was valuable, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna lose sleep over it, because I care about you to the point where if I'm giving advice, I weigh my words, I think about it. So I'll tell you, "Hey, Mateo, you bought a new shirt. Not my style. I would see a different color, a different this, a different that. But hey, if you like it, raw. It's being careful in my approach. But I'm going to
Mhm.
be weary of the fact that what I'm telling you could affect what you think of your shirt or your look or whatever." The acquaintance circle, that's really the shirt you're wearing. And walk away. No, no, nothing constructive, nothing supportive, nothing. It's just they're going to drop that bomb and walk away.
Drop a question mark and leave.
And the outer circle is going to be, dude, your taste in clothes is garbage, and walk away.
Yeah, three distinctive ways
And in
of
my
doing this.
coaching, that's one of the first things that I do is I ask for an entourage inventory. And I want to know what circle these people are in. You can never underestimate the impact of what role these people will play in your divorce. And it's not even divorce, it's your life in general. Through everything that you do, are these people positive or negative? Like, what is the role that they play?
They become part of the fabric.
That's all it is. So, folks, there's been a few examples throughout this episode of how you can determine your circle, who belongs in what circle. And I'm telling you now, 90% of the people who are going to be listening to this are going to be conflicted as for a few people, mainly who belongs in that ride or die circle. If you're not sure, reach out, Doesn't take long, doesn't take much. And I know that in our coaching approach, we don't have to be there for you from A to Z. It could be for certain parts just to make sure you're aligned and guided and making sure that you're moving forward properly. If it's not through coaching, it's through the school community. We put all kinds of posts where you decide, where you have the reflections and you can make the decisions as to who belongs where. The divorce playbook has it. Listening to the podcast has it. So you have something no matter what you're going through, no matter what level you're at, no matter what your budget is, with what Matteo and I are doing is removing the possibility of saying, I didn't know. It's removing the possibility of saying, I didn't have access to information. I didn't have access to help. We created this for everybody to, no matter what point they're at, no matter what budget they have, to be able to get love and support throughout their journey.
Very well said, Gio. Very well said.
So, on that note, I wish everybody a happy reflection, a difficult reflection. And why I say difficult is because it's out of love, because it's one of the hardest things you're going to go through. Remember that you're not alone. We are here to guide you through this. And I'm excited for the next show to be able to bring you guys even more information. So, on behalf of Matteo, I'm Gio. We're signing off. Episode number 8.
Number 8.
We're approaching double digits. So,
Double
folks, thank you
digits.
for tuning in. Follow us on the socials. Share as much as you can. And we'll see you in number 9.
Peace.